Hey everybody! Welcome back to Anime Book Club. We are in week 7 of the summer season or spring season or whatever season we're in. I don't care. It's fun. It's spring. In the spring season. We've got some great stuff to talk about. We are continuing with a bunch of our shows and our Spin the Wheel show. And at the end, we will be talking about another Spin the Wheel show for next week. So let's get right into it and welcome Erik!
Hey.
Erik!
So,
It's a little bit of
I do realize why you probably thought it was summer season. We got a lot of summer episodes.
We did.
Last week got a bunch of summer episodes, and we got more this week.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit of a bittersweet day because normally this would be when MomoCon is happening. However, we live in a panini, as the kids like to say. There is still a pandemic, so please join us for Winterfest by MomoCon, which will be happening December 18th and 19th this year, and MomoCon 2022 next year. And I'm sorry that your memories are coming up with all your MomoCon memories, but we've got some cool stuff. Like there's a special discount on MomoCon and Winterfest memberships if you look at any of our major social media right now that is going through the weekend. So check that out. Absolutely. Go ahead and jump on getting your memberships to those, and it'll be fun. And we'll see each other again. I don't know where. I don't know when. I do know where, and I do know when. It's going to be in December and May, and it's going to be at the Georgia World Congress Center. So, But anyway, let's get into Anime Book Club. First up, we have Dynazenon.
Dynazenon. Man.
Dynazenon has dropped to the bottom of my list this week. Dynazenon was the most boring show for me this week. Definitely.
Oh, no, I don't think that's fair. I think this episode of Dynazenon actually was more interesting than some of the other ones.
I do think it did get into a different kind of plot, but I still think it was super duper 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 boring. The bad guys spent the whole time doing leisure activities, okay?
Yeah, they took a vacation. They went to the movies, they went to the arcade.
Yeah, they went to round one, basically. Yeah.
We got to see. I forgot. I don't remember the main bad girl's name, but like her character is very different than it was 3 episodes ago. Like now she's like all into like hanging out with her friends, and like she's super competitive. I feel like when she when her and the red guy may have like did the control thing on the kaiju. Yeah, when they did it together, I think maybe like they connected or somehow. I don't know. Because she's been different ever since, and she's really likable now.
Yeah. The rest of the plot was they find a tiny kaiju. The good guys find, or what you assume are the good guys. I mean, I make no assumptions about the show. Find a tiny kaiju, and they're like, just monitor the 2 people from the Gridman Alliance or whatever. Like, hey, yeah, you should. We gotta watch that. And Galma's like, "Yep, don't worry, I'll watch it. It's cool." And then promptly falls asleep, and it turns giant and starts wreaking havoc. But main character dude actually uses the whole "I'm gonna summon a kaiju" power almost successfully to control it, but instant totally ducked out in the end.
You have to ask yourself, who really was at fault, right? So everyone understands who and what Gamma is, right? Everyone understands at this point. And so when he said, I'm going to look out for the kaiju, like everyone should have turned to each other and says, yeah, it's going to go missing by tomorrow. Like everyone should have understood this to be an absolute fact. So who really was at fault? It's like if you trust a child to like do something and you know he's going to forget, but you just let him do it anyway. Like the parent is the one that truly at fault. So I don't know. So of course the kaiju goes rampant, but the thing is, this is the first kaiju that didn't actually destroy anything. Like it kind of was just walking around like painting.
It was
things.
making things colorful. He put paint on like Galma's head and stuff. Yeah.
And even when he turned huge, like he was casually walking down the street. Like of course he's huge, so it's like some of the glasses were breaking, but he wasn't killing anybody. He didn't really intentionally destroy anything. He climbed a building, and the building wasn't quite strong enough, so it started like cracking. But besides from that, he didn't do anything wrong. And they were like, all right, he's 100 feet tall now, we gotta kill it. And then this is the very first time in the show where the main characters has given even the most bare minimum amount of consideration about their environment. They were like, one of our friends is in the building that he's standing on. Maybe I shouldn't blow the building to smithereens. Oh, you don't say
Maybe
there's
I
2,000 other people in it? Oh, I guess that's even more reason now. And it's like,
Yep.
you didn't think about this in any episode up till this point, but your
Nope.
friend was in the mall and you're like, you know what? Maybe I should practice restraint in the way I attack this thing. And it's like,
But didn't get
you
all
don't
those
say.
other people that have been killed in the other episodes. They didn't matter. They didn't matter.
Yeah, it's like,
you know,
you don't say that you shouldn't just casually fire laser beams in the middle of a city. So then they actually tried to like drag it out of the city, and they weren't very successful because it's a 200-foot monster. So they're like, it's really hard to drag. And then finally he gets like on top of the building to the point where like they could just blast it away without like destroying the building, and they just wipe him out. He looks him dead in the eye and didn't do anything, and he just like destroyed him.
Yep.
And main character's like,
the kaiju made direct eye contact with main character dude too, and that's definitely going to stay with him because he's like, oh man, and then he just like destroys them.
So it's
we also they said that kaiju are made up of like human emotions. That was like established in this episode, so that's at least some kind of hint as to where we're going. Yeah.
And so the main character, when he tried to do the instant domination in the beginning of the episode, he had like a reaction, but he didn't know what was happening. And so it seems like the kaiju may have bonded with him and looked at him like, hey, maybe the kaiju thought like the main character was his mom or dad or something, because he's like, hey,
you think it imprinted on him? Like the kaiju imprinted on him?
Yeah. Like he just blasted him, and I'm like, he did nothing wrong. Like, if anything, the main characters has killed so many more people. Like they just casually just plow down buildings, and it's like this is so. I'm interested to see how they're going to start justifying these battles, because this was the first time we got to see like the amount of consideration they should normally have.
Yeah, well, and that there was also like an evacuation in this one because they're in the mall and the mall's evacuating and everybody's like running outside. So
yeah,
at least we're trying. Like at least some people are trying to save human life. I mean, generally.
Yeah, this is also the This was also I didn't realize till this episode that Knight and the secretary actually. So I finally remember who they are in Gridman. So Knight is the little angry boy that's
what I thought. Yeah.
I didn't realize it, but of course, like he had the white hair, and the secretary is the girl that's a kaiju in human form that we saw in Gridman. And so it's interesting that like even the girl, the secretary, she's a kaiju. So like she wouldn't be like upset that they're just indiscriminately murdering kaiju that didn't do anything wrong. So I don't know.
Yeah. I'm a spider, so what? Man, Spider gets better and better every freaking week, okay? Every week, I appreciate Spider a little bit more than I did the week before. And this week is no different.
I'm starting to especially appreciate it because I finally started reading the actual light novels. I finished the first 2 books, and now I'm on book number 3. So far, 12 has been translated, and so book number 3 is like the Arba, the giant earth dragon fight. That's book number 3.
Yeah.
So like I'm probably going to pass where the anime is by book 5. So it's like there's a lot of content out there. So I'm really excited.
We started out where Spider-Girl is still in the village, still getting worshipped by people. They started selling her merchandise. The elf guy thinks that the demon lord sent her to protect the vampire baby. And little does he know, the demon lord has no control over her whatsoever. She finally kills Mom and like has been absorbing, her extra minds have been absorbing the mom's power. And it was the body mind that got like locked with the demon lord. And they're like, we'll miss you, body mind. We'll miss you forever. It was a pretty good
so
scene.
Body mind is slowly chipping away at the demon lord while the other minds were chipping away at Mom. And she kills Mom pretty easily, honestly, right? And then she absorbs all her power. So all the power Kumiko had before is now just in addition to the overwhelming strength that Mom had. And it's like the demon lord now understands this is a big threat. And so the Demon Lord is pissed. Like, I can't believe she killed like my second in command, like this little kid. And so when the dragons comes up to her and says, "Hey, man, we have like the law is like if you're strong enough to survive, you get to live. Like we all are strong, and that's why we're all doing this because that's the rule of the land." And so she gets pissed and she kills the dragon. Like don't talk back to me.
Kills the dragon right there. Just like, nope.
So she's not having it. She's not having it. But the funny thing is that Kumiko has the ability to teleport. And so Kumiko is just teleporting wherever she wants. And the Demon Lord has to run after her on foot. The Demon Lord doesn't have teleport. So she has to literally Naruto run her way across the entire country every time Kumiko teleports. So she's not catching up to her anytime soon.
Well, you've also got, like, the human storyline side of this episode is terrifying. So you find out, they get to the elf village, and the elf, like, the teacher's like, no, they're with me, it's cool. But they put them in the area of the village where they're holding all the other reincarnated people against their will. They're all prisoners there. And they're like, whoa, maybe we shouldn't have trusted the teacher. Maybe this was a bad idea. And everybody's like rethinking their life right about now. Like, oh my God.
So Oka, she has some explaining to do. I kind of missed the point. I'm sure it must have been said, but I kind of missed the point that Patimus was her father. I thought he was just like the ruler of the elves.
Yeah. He came back after they thought he was dead and his head was cut off, and she's like, Patimus, and he's like, you don't call me father anymore? And yeah, would that get revealed
this episode? Because I felt like that should have been something that should have been said.
I think it was last episode.
Gotcha. So Patimus is her father, and we all know that Patimus has been trying to get all the reincarnated babies, and Oka has also been doing the same thing. But we know that Patimus is the bad guy, right? And we kind of trusted Oka. So even though they have the exact same goal and they're even like related to each other, we don't really know if Oka's intentions are as bad as Patimus's intentions. So
yeah, and she won't tell. She's keeping crucial information from them too, and has been clearly since like the first part of the season. So
so they finally get to meet all the other reincarnations, and some of them are like, "Hey, I got kidnapped, and that's why I'm here. What about you?
Yep,
we just walked here on our own free will." Oh, you don't say.
Yeah. Well, we met most of the reincarnations now, so there's not a long way to go to like putting it together. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, The World Ends With You. The show I always forget about until I watch it, and then I forget about it again. I feel so bad for the other players, like the two like tan players that were there. Like, dude, they were trying so hard, and then like girl gets hit and she falls away, and then the dude.
They were like, hey, if we win the game, don't worry. Like you can go get reincarnated, and I'll play again. Like, we're cool. Like, it doesn't, like, we're not really competing because we're in this together. And so it had such a refreshing relationship, and it was like, dang. You just knew they weren't going to make it because they're not main characters. They didn't have enough screen time. You just knew it.
They don't have main character plot armor. They just don't. We're getting toward the end of this set now, and are they already fighting the boss? They're fighting the boss, or are they? I'll be honest, this week, show falls out of my head.
So this week's episode was the end of week number 2, and so it was the final 2 days, and a bunch of taboo Noes were attacking Joshua and Neku, and also the Reapers. And so in the game at this point, it gave you choices whether or not you wanted to save certain people. And so there was tons of Reapers getting attacked. And in the game, you had to say, nah, I'm going to continue on. I'm not going to save this particular Reaper, but I'll save that Reaper. And so in the anime, Neku and Joshua fails to save some of them, but then they save like I forgot the name, but the girl with the shorts and wings, and she reminds me of Jessie. They remind me of Jessie and James from Team Rocket. But they save them, and then they finally make it over to Sho's hideout, and they confront him. They beat Sho. I personally think it was way too rushed in my opinion. You can't because we didn't really have any connection to show in the anime. He's just another Reaper. But in the game, like you really got to see like all the like his like weird like personality traits and how he deals with numbers. But they beat him in the anime pretty quickly. But as he's dying, he self-destructs, and Joshua shields Neku from the blast and pushes Neku away.
And then Neku's like, him. "Oh no, I've misjudged you the entire time. You were really on my side."
And so Neku has a flashback and realizes, or Neku sees in his flashback that Sho was also there the day he died, and Sho
killed him.
Is the one that fired the bullet that killed him. So that's the end of week number 2, because Composer, was it Composer? I forgot his actual title, but the guy in terms of all the game masters, he was like, "Oh yeah, turns out Joshua joined the game illegally. And so since you were his partner, you're just as complicit. You're just as guilty. And so I'm going to nullify your win, and I'm going to put you in another week. And if you don't manage to win again this week, I'm going to just erase you.
This is the last one. Yeah.
And so the explanation was even more hand wavy in the anime. Like this is exactly how it happened in the game, but like he sounds even more fake in the anime. Like in the game, at least he was believable. Now it's very obvious that he's like, you know what? I don't care. Like I'm not giving you any wins. Just play again.
Yeah. Well, we'll move into week 3 next week.
Yeah.
Tokyo Revengers. All right. I have some opinions about this show, okay? I started this show, and I thought it was interesting, and I was willing to look past the terribly illogical time travel problems with this show, right? But every week that goes on, I like this show less. Every week. And I don't know that it's still not like The World Ends With You level, okay? It's still better than that. But every time I watch this show, I like it a little bit less. And this week is no exception. I'm really only here for Draken's temple tattoo anymore because I really like it and it amuses me greatly.
That's all you're here for. Well, your boy might bite the dust next week.
I know. I'm going to be real upset if Draken dies, okay? Because he's like the only thing keeping me interested in the show right now. I like him, and I don't care about this gang. I don't care about his relationship with Mikey. I don't understand how the main character thinks he can actually do anything because he's really inept, and he doesn't actually do anything effective to change almost anything in this entire show. The one thing that the main character did that changed stuff was standing up to the mini-boss guy, basically, so he could be friends with Mikey and Draken. Other than that, he really doesn't do a lot, okay? He really has not had any real meaningful effect. I mean, like, things have affected it, but it's like he doesn't know what he's doing and he's shooting in the dark all the time, every single episode. And for all this preparing that they've done, he did with the brother and everything, it just feels like it's for nothing. Because he's not doing anything to help at this point, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the brother, like, none of the information that he got from the brother is like relevant because he's like, you got to stop Mikey from meeting this guy, or you could just like avoid all that and just stop the gang war. And it's like, okay, both options are pretty hard, and I don't really have a roadmap. And it's like, what's the point of studying history if like you have to do it in the present? You know, like it doesn't matter what's going to happen if you have to like stop it then. So it's like. It just feels kind of like a wasted plot element. So
it does. Why is it? How is it even benefiting? I mean, it's really frustrating. I just find this show really frustrating. Although I did appreciate that Pachin just straight up stabbed that dude. Like came up, knew what he was doing, stabbed that dude, puts his knife down, puts his hands up for the cops, and he's like, "No, man, don't worry about it. This is what I had to do." What? He's in middle school.
On one hand, I don't like Pachin. On one hand, I don't like him. I don't really like him. He doesn't seem like. I mean, he doesn't seem like a great guy. He's not very nice to the main character. I don't like him. But Osani deserved to be stabbed. He deserved to be stabbed. Yeah. And I like that Pachin is like, you know what? I did the crime. Whatever. I'm going to stand here for the police. I'm not about to run. I'm not about to put my friends in danger. They can escape. I'm gonna take the hit. That's actually very respectable because Osani definitely deserved to be stabbed. And I'm surprised I'm surprised he's getting off just with the stab. Because they
No.
made it very
Well,
clear he raped somebody and beat up her
yes, he
family.
did.
And I'm like,
He did. Oh, well, and not only that,
curb stomp this man.
Pachin totally stabbed this guy, and they're like, oh, he's going to be in jail for a year. A year for attempted murder? And then they're like, yeah, but if he dies, he could be in jail until he becomes of age at like 20. For murder? For literally murdering a guy? Like,
I mean,
what kind of justice system is this? Like, holy crap!
It's the same
Why
justice system that's letting Osani off for after he raped some girl. Like Osani is like, I mean, he's not having a great life as an adult, but he has a life. He's not behind bars. I didn't think that you could get off that easily for that. You know what I mean?
So I know, and it's totally like malicious and gang related. And in the U.S., like you brought like all of the gang stuff would be brought up on like RICO charges, and then like he'd be going to jail for both of these people would be going to jail for a long time. Okay, attempted murder. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah. But so it seems that the Pachin getting caught drove a rift between Mikey and that
doesn't make a lot of sense either. Like, because they're on the same page. It doesn't make much sense at all. Like,
so it doesn't really make any sense. I agree with that. And so the only logical thing I can think of is that in the episode earlier when Draken was like, oh, we have to do it this way, and Mikey was like, wait a minute, are you questioning my authority? And something interrupted them, right? And so it seems it kind of was setting the seeds that like they have a great relationship, but Mikey does not tolerate people like trying to like go out of their boundaries and like overrule him. And so when Draken dragged Mikey away, and Mikey was like, no, we gotta stay and like get Pachin. That might have been like, no, I gave you an order that we were going to stay, and you took me away regardless. So that might have been the breaking point. Yeah. But it would have been nice if the anime had actually like laid it out and very clearly said, this is exactly why this event is happening.
So. I agree. But yeah, I just feel like I like the show less and less the more that I watch. But I don't know. I don't hate it. I'm still interested. So
yeah.
Don't toy with me, Miss Nagatoro. Nagatoro was very good this week. I really liked it. So a lot of this week's episode was centered around a festival. And it was super duper cute because main character wanted to call Nagatoro to invite her to the festival, but he was too shy to do it, and he didn't want to do it. And he's like, because he's like, I don't know, maybe I'm bothering her. And she was at like a swim practice, but then her terrible friends, who I hate more in every episode because they're kind of bad people, are like, they wound up letting her know he was there, and so she came over, because she does not want them intruding on her territory. And they had this really cute episode at the festival, and it ended at the fireworks, like every anime episode at a festival ever does. But now he's found the secret. He's found the secret.
Yes, their relationship finally has a win condition. Because before I was thinking, man, like their relationship is healthy, but at the same time, like there's no win condition for them to actually like start dating, because she's just too like have to put on her mask and like be like, no, there's no way I ever date you, and he's too shy to like push her on it. But he finally knows that if he just simply asks her questions whenever she's like trying to be like teasing him, if he simply just pushes back a little bit, she breaks down, and he finally understands. Yep. He finally understands that's his win condition, and I'm like, yes, they're finally at a point where I can see them being in a real relationship. And I think I was not expecting to make this much of a 180 on Nagatoro. Episode 1, I was like, this chick is.
I was going to say, episode 1, I was like, are we going to get rid of this show in like 2 more weeks? But no, like, I'm invested now. I'm invested. I'm here for it.
Like she's actually really likable. Like she mellowed out a lot. Like she is just actual like more realistic high school teasing and playful teasing, and not like I'm gonna bully you till you cry, right? So now I support their relationship. I still don't like Gamu and Yoshi, her two friends. But
Yeah, I don't like them
Gamu, the orange hair one, Gamu is kind of like being a good wingman, right? So Gamu is the one that texted Nagatoro and it was like, "Hey, we're at the
either.
festival. We're with your boyfriend. We put a collar on him. What you gonna do about it?" And so Gamu
Yeah,
like knows that she can tease Nagatoro just a little bit and get her to come out and spend time with
yeah,
them. And
yeah.
so even though I don't like them, I appreciate that they are kind of pushing Nagatoro.
I appreciate that she calls him Python because it's like senpai but backwards, and it
Yeah,
amuses me every time.
yeah.
Hey,
And then in the second half,
Python! Ah.
in the second half of the episode, we get to see those two guys from the diner come back, and they're like, "Hey, let's hang out, Nagatoro." And she's like, "Nah,
And she's
I'm
like,
good. I'm
nope.
so good."
I like how she shuts him down cold, and then the main character dude rolls up, senpai rolls up, and he's like so nervous, and he's like, "Hey, you guys ready
Let's
to go?"
go.
And then all of the women, all of them, get up with him, and I mean, you want to talk about shutting those dudes down? He destroyed them. He ruined that man's whole career. Okay, he ruined that man's whole career.
And it was so unintentional by accident. He was like, hey, you want to go? Let's go. And everybody, yeah, I'm so like, we're spending time with him. These other guys, nah. Bye. Peace.
Bye. Peace. Oh man, ruined that man's whole career. Oh, that was a great scene. That was a great scene. I look forward to seeing this next week too.
Yeah.
Shadow's House. Shadow's House had a lot going on this week. I liked it.
Yeah.
So we are still in the trial for Shadow's House with the dolls in the shadows, and a lot of the shadows are still trapped places. But we're making progress. So Emilico is solving problems like a leader. I kind of like it. She's still a little like spacey about it, but she's solving problems.
Yeah, she has great leadership abilities. I remember like episode 2, you're like, oh, she's so stupid, and like she fell out a window, and I'm like, come on, give her a break.
She was annoying as hell. Okay, she was super annoying. She's
a great leader. She listens to people. She knows how to take the abilities and talents of other people and bring them together. Like she can put all these traits on a resume, and I would hire her. I would totally hire her.
Well, they solved a bunch of puzzles this week. What's his face? The guy in the picture. What's his shadow's name? John. Is it John? Yeah, John got real dirty. John's like gonna lose because he got super dirty because they put him in like a little box. And then he got the soot all over himself, so he's just kind of filthy. But these three together, and they solved the puzzle of which statue by sitting in the bench and looking, and it looks like a bunny, and we turned the bunny, and like it's a very problem-solving kind of episode. But
so we get to see them working together.
Still locked up.
Yeah. We get to see all of them working together, and they're like best friends, and they're using each other's like strengths to the advantage of the team. We also get to see Lou and Patrick, Lou and Ricky, I think. Yeah, Patrick is the shadow. So we get to see Lou and Ricky. They're working together. It seems Ricky might be in love with Lou now because like she got up on top of him and said, "Hey, is anything wrong with my face? Did my face get hurt?" Now Ricky is like really embarrassed. So we get to see all the different like groups that got separated.
She's like super matter of fact about it. She's just like charging through with the chompers, and then all of a sudden she almost like falls off the ledge. And then she comes back. She's like, "Is there anything wrong with my face? Am I good? Cool."
That's the most important thing to her because like if her face is ruined, then she might seriously get thrown in the trash by her shadow.
Yeah.
Like,
are we gonna talk about how Rum has like super OP abilities that nobody talked about? Oh yeah, I already remember.
Rum has photographic memory.
Yeah, I remember everything ever. Like, okay, way to be OP.
I mean, is she? I mean, I wouldn't say she's OP because she like her stats are pretty imbalanced. Like she has photographic memory, but like every other stat is almost zero.
Yeah, I would say she can't speak to people without her little finger puppet. So I mean, it's difficult.
Yeah,
it's difficult.
So John and his John and his doll, they separate from the group because they got reunited, and so they're like, hey, nah, even though we did it as a team, you gotta look out for your shadow. And so he goes off, and they're trying to find clean clothes while it's now Rum and Emilico that are going to continue on in order to find Kate.
So,
and I forgot Rum's shadow person.
It's like Shirley or something.
It's so hard to remember the double. It's hard to remember the double names for each of them.
Yeah. Well, my favorite part of this episode was the guy who's the game master gets a message from one of the adults in the form of like a crow.
Oh yeah.
But they send the crow, and the crow lands on the ground and screams at him, and then explodes into text in soot. And he's just like, do they really have to scream at me every time? And it was a delightful scene because they didn't need to scream at him, but it screamed at him.
It reminds me of, I think they're called howlers, the howlers from Harry Potter, where
Harry
whenever
Potter,
Neville's parents were mad at him and
he forgot something,
they send him a howler and he just screams in the dining hall for no reason.
See, it reminded me of the crows or the birds in Demon Slayer, and how Zenitsu's one is just like keeps yelling at him the whole time. He's like, "You're a failure. Stop sucking so much," and it's tweeting at him in little bird language. I love that. I hate Zenitsu, but I love that part of it.
Oh my god!
But yeah, Shadow's House was really good this week, though. I thought it was really interesting, and it's getting more interesting for me. So,
yeah, I'm enjoying it.
So, surprisingly, Battle Athletes was not terrible this week. Battle Athletes Victory Restart. It was probably the best episode of Battle Athletes we've had in the entire freaking show.
It probably is the best episode, and it's not terrible. Is it good though? I mean,
we're still watching it. You gotta finish it to the end at this point. We're past the point of no return. I'm making you watch this whole show. It's what's happening. All right, so you got a lot going on here. You're in like the last part of this like race thing they're doing, and Ava and the main character chick are like Kanata. They're in the front, right? And they're like winning. But the terrorist girl has set up like an explosion to let rocks fall to like keep them from the rest of the path, right? And so she uses this opportunity to let her buddy from the moon shoot the Gertland girl finally, but of course she can't do it. And then it's like, oh no, I can't do it because I'm in love with you, and we're in lesbians. There's 2 lesbian couples in this show now, and I am here for it. 110%.
They hinted at both couples in the previous episode. Like we all knew that Yana and what's her name, Lydia, you all knew that was going to go that direction. But we didn't know it was going to quite go that direction that fast. And so Lydia just says, "I love you," and Yana's like, "I hate you, but I also love you too." And so it was great. And so they're perfect. Their ship is totally set sail. But what was surprising was that. It was surprising the other ship of main character Kanata and Shelly,
the girl with the arm. Yeah,
Kanata and Shelly were also like their ship came in real fast. Like technically, we saw foreshadowing in the last episode because Shelly was like, "Oh, don't be so nice for you. I might fall for you," and she kind of laughed it off as a joke, but we knew it wasn't a joke. So they're both ships are in very, very stable waters right now. They are.
Oh, you're missing the most important part of this episode. The most important part of this episode is that the detective guy has now made friends with the kangaroo, and they're hanging out. They're hanging out watching the race together. So I don't know if you noticed that. Like when the detective guy shows up and starts doing stuff, he's hanging out with the kangaroo before this. Yeah, they're buddies now.
Like he might as well just adopt the kangaroo. I don't even know. Like the kangaroo doesn't even hang out with the girl that he came with. Like I forgot at this point who the kangaroo came with because he's not hanging out with her.
Chick. He came with the blue-haired chick. Yeah. Okay. But he doesn't ever hang out with her. Yeah.
Okay.
But detective guy shows up, when she decides not to shoot Lydia Gertland. And then the terrorist chick is like starts shooting at them, and the detective guy's shooting at the terrorist chick because he's trying to catch the terrorist chick in the act. She always like cleaned up after herself, and she never was caught in the act. And now he's caught her in the act, right? And so she comes down with like a knife to knife fight, and then as Erik pointed out right before the stream, and he is entirely accurate, they spent the whole budget for this show on Lydia kicking her ass in this episode.
Yeah, Lydia
the
can
coolest
fight.
sequence in this whole show.
They've been conserving their sports budget this whole time just to see Lydia throw hands, right?
She was ready. She was like boom, boom, boom. I mean, like, holy crap! It was like the coolest fight in this entire show.
It was so good. It was so good, and I was like, man, I did not expect such an intense, like, hand-to-hand fight, like close combat up in here. Like, it was pretty wild.
Well, there's a lot of plot going on too, because then detective takes terrorist girl in, and terrorist girl's like, joke's on you, this was all a diversion. I set up a bomb at the finish line because I'm gonna kill Ava. I'm gonna kill this, like, very expensive model, like, designer creature that they've built, that the Gertlins are involved in with their money, that they've wasted all their money on. So now there's a bomb at the end of the track that Kanata and Ava are headed toward.
That's the point where I was really like, man, this is really hard to believe that the terrorists would, in police custody, tell him about the bomb before the bomb goes off. And I'm like, okay, but he can just call in and be like, hey, there's a bomb at the finish line. Let's call off the race.
Yep. Yeah. It felt pretty short-sighted a little bit. Yep.
So the only rational solution I can think of where he can't do that is because Yusil has a bomb inside her body and she's ready to self-detonate at any moment. And he has this jamming frequency that jams out all the communications devices in the area. Yep. And so I guess if he turns off his jamming, his watch, and try to make a phone call, she'll blow up. So his hands are a little tied, but at the same time, he needs to be like, let me pull over real quick. Tell my boy to, like, hey, when I drive off, call the organizers. I'm gonna drive off. Just make sure you make that phone call when you're out of range. So it's like, it just seems really weird that a terrorist would give up their plans so easily. Like, it's like the super villain, like, monologue, and it's like, but you're already in custody. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, it didn't make any sense to me either. But now we're on a cliffhanger, and, things might blow up. So that's where we're at. To your eternity. Because you know what we needed in this show? More children with sad backstories for us to care about that will definitely meet an untimely end. That's what we needed.
I don't think so. I don't think they might live. I think their odds are 40-60. I think 60% says that they're going to live. All of them.
Okay.
Maybe one person dies.
I think he's going to turn into that little kid with the head. Okay. I think he is. And All right. So
I don't know. Maybe
you're back at the weird guy, the weird old man that the witch took food to in the last episode has an assistant, and his name is Gugu, and he was just some kid that lived out in the woods with his brother, and they were saving up money to buy a house, and then his brother was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry," and ran off with all of their money. All of it. Like, after they worked so hard and he's saving all this stuff. He likes the little girl.
After they worked hard, after Gugu, whatever his name, after he worked hard, because we haven't seen any evidence that older brother was bringing home a check at all. He was out here selling fruit in the middle of the road every single day, and older brother just takes the money and runs. And I'm like, that's messed up, man.
It is. But he meets a little girl in the market, and he thinks he helps her out, and she gives him a ring that's like worth more than his salary for like several years, and he's like, I just wanted to know your name. And she's already gone because she's like some bougie little Ojo-sama. And then he finds her when he's out, and, his brother's taking all the money, and he's out like in the creek, by the creek, and a giant like log rolls off. Some dude's pushing his cart too fast, and he's like, hey, watch my log. And then the log starts moving, and the log starts going toward the girl who's like looking at flowers, and he saves her life, and everybody runs to help her, and nobody helps him when the log literally crushes his head. A giant log literally crushes this child's head.
How does this girl, like, there is being oblivious, and then there is, like, whatever she's doing. A giant log was rolling down the hill towards her.
Screaming at her. He's screaming at her, like, get out of the way.
He pushes her out. He physically pushes her out the way and falls off the cliff, and the log falls off the cliff with him. And at no point in time did she say to, like, the adults, hey, where's the boy that pushed me out the way? Is he nearby? Yeah. And no one looked off the cliff and says, oh, wow, there's a child at the bottom of this cliff that's crushed by a log. Maybe we should help him.
Yep. No. I also don't understand how the old man basically Frankensteined him back to life. If you get your skull crushed, you're not coming back. That's not a thing. Okay? That is absolutely, like, I get he's got a disfigured face or whatever. No, that was a giant log that crushed his head against the ground. Okay?
It did remind me a lot. I don't know how much of Naruto you've seen, but it did remind me of Obito because that's how Obito lost his right eye. Because a giant boulder fell on top of him and crushed half his body. And I was like, man, this feels so much like Obito's story right now.
It was ridiculous. But so the old man takes him in. And then the best part, after the old man Frankensteins him back together and he wakes up after like several weeks, the old man, the first thing he says is, you got kind of fat. I was like, what? Like, this kid thought he was dead? Like, his whole life is falling apart, and the first thing you're going to say to him when he comes out of his coma is, you kind of fat. Like, what?
Dang. But yeah, but now his face is disconfigured, and so he has to wear a mask because he says he looks too ugly and he can't be seen. And so he's out just like, but he's fine. He's like, whatever, I guess this is my life now. And so he's working at the shop, and he teaches Fu like all the things he needs in order to work at the shop. And then the girl, what's her name?
Reen. Her name is Reen.
Reen comes through the door, and she doesn't even realize this is the boy that saved her life. And I'm like, dang, that's messed up. And then she's like, oh, I like conversations. She likes Fu. She's like so obsessed with Fu. And she's like, what? Boy with the mask? I don't know who you're talking about. And he's devastated. I'm like, dang, man. Dang.
Well,
I feel so bad for you.
Yeah. I appreciate that Gugu actually pointed out to Fu, who can now understand language, hey, why do you have a wound? You don't need to have a wound. So maybe, like, we won't have arrows sticking out of everything that Fu transforms into anymore.
Yeah, he also helped Fu take off his clothes and the clothes because Fu didn't understand where a body ends and where the clothes begin. They were like almost like embedded into his skin, and he had to rip them off. And so now that he's like learning things, maybe he'll be able to control his form better. Maybe when he comes back, he's not going to be fully clothed anymore, and maybe have less wounds. So it's a process. Yeah. It's a process.
It is.
But Reen did say she's willing to teach him how to speak, though.
There's definitely going to be some sadness because it's 2 year eternity, and that's just what's going to happen. So everybody prepare yourself for that. It's what we signed up for. So
I suppose.
Fruits Basket. Fruits Basket was an interesting episode this week. This whole episode was about Kyo telling Toru that hey, I was there. Not only did I know your mom when I was a kid, and she helped me out, and I thought she was great, but I was there when she died, and I could have saved her, but I didn't, because I didn't want to turn into a cat. And he's like, and you can't love me because of that, so I'm going to run away. And she's like, for God's sakes, we've been through 3 seasons of this. I love you. Stop running away. What do I have to tell you to get past this so that we can move on? And he still runs away. That's what Fruits Basket was this week. And then at the very end, Akito shows up with a knife and Toru all alone because Yuki has gone to chase down Kyo. So that's going to be great. You know, just Akito with a knife. No big deal. No big deal at all. Not like she just murdered somebody or tried to murder Kureno. You know?
So Yuki was the MVP of this episode because he's just casually in his room sleeping. Like it's the middle of the night and he's sleeping and he wakes up and he overhears Kyo talking about, yeah, this is why I've always hated Yuki. This is why like I've always want to hate him, and this is the my whole life story. And he's just like looking out the window like, what? so and so he casually walks down the stairs, and when he gets to the door, then he hears Toru says, "I love you, Kyo," and he's like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't be around for this." but then Kyo is like, "No, I'm disappointed in you," and he runs off. And Yuki just puts it into like full gear, like, "Oh, I gotta chase after him. I don't know this whole situation. I don't know what's going on, but I guess I gotta chase after him." So Yuki just like he just wakes up and just is already in gear to like do whatever is needed. So he was the MVP, but he made the wrong turn.
Yeah.
He's chasing at the Kyo, and Kyo runs to the left, and Yuki runs to the right. So they're not going to meet up, and no one's going to circle back to save Toru.
No,
so
Toru's going to have to deal with this on her own. Crazy knife-wielding maniac who's already stabbed somebody and ran away from stabbing somebody. You know, NBD, stabbed the only person who wouldn't leave her, too. I think that's pretty notable, right? Kureno's curse has been broken for a while. And Kureno's like, I'm going to give up literally my entire life to be next to you because you need it. Like,
so interesting.
That's the one you stabbed. You didn't stab Shigure, who definitely probably deserved a good stabbing. You stabbed Kureno.
Deserves multiple stabs. So
I'm just saying.
Here's my theory, right? So if Akito stabs Toru, can you literally almost all the Somas love Toru? Can you imagine the fallout if a Soma just heard that Akito stabbed Toru for no reason? Everyone's curse will break. Everyone's curse will break right then and there, and they all will curb stomp Akito in the middle of the road. Like, I am for it. I almost hope Akito stabs Toru just so she can get what she deserves. Because I hate Akito. I hate Akito so much. Someone should have stabbed her like 2 seasons ago, and she deserves whatever is coming to her because I can't. I'm done with her. I'm so done with her.
No, this is gonna end up with Toru showing Akito how to love and how to be good, because that's what every freaking Soma gets out of Toru. Okay.
I know, but I feel like Akito might be different. I don't want him to do this. I don't want him to do like the old like, oh, let's be friends, and I have the power to heal people, and we're all gonna have a come to Jesus moment, and we're all gonna be happy. No, I don't think that's gonna happen to Akito. We still have too many episodes left. If it was that easy, it'll be the final episode.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, there's a character like that in My Hero, but I only read the manga, so I don't know if the anime is caught up to that part, so I won't give you any spoilers. But I'm also frustrated with that character in My Hero, that suddenly everybody's like, oh, it's the hero. Yeah, Did you forget the past? But whatever.
I don't know what you're talking about, so I'm not going to ask questions.
That's cool. See, I'm not going to give any names, because I'm not going to give spoilers for a show we're not watching. And I only read the manga, so I don't know how far the anime is, you know what I mean, versus the manga. But it's really frustrating. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, Mars Red. Mars Red got weird real fast.
I don't like. Here's another week. I don't like Mars Red.
God.
I don't like Mars Red. I don't understand Mars Red. I don't understand. It's not that I hate Mars Red. I just don't understand. I don't understand anything, right? And so,
all right. So you've got. Go ahead.
So we have a vaccine being distributed among the soldiers and the townspeople. And they're like, oh, this vaccine will prevent you from turning into a vampire. And everyone is casually just... Yeah. And so they're all just digesting this vaccine in large amounts. And no one has realized that it's causing everyone to almost immediately turn into a vampire. It's not even like it's a 3 year down the line type deal. It's like, no, you drink the vaccine 20 minutes later, the sun comes up
being
and he
you're a
bursts into
vampire.
flames.
And a lot of them, I was gonna say, and a lot of them didn't realize it either. Like the little kids are like, yeah, we were with our friends and they were outside when the sun came up and all of them turned to dust and we just coincidentally happened to be inside, so we didn't die. Like
Yeah.
there's no, yeah, like everybody taking the vaccine is becoming a vampire. Main character dude from the last episode is hinted at to be a vampire because in the last episode the strong vampire dude, you know, was giving him his blood. And in this one, he just kind of like appeared to some people, like, and then young vampire guy heard about it, and he's like, oh, maybe he's still alive. This whole episode was about young vampire guy trying to figure out what the shit is going on. And he met the shopkeep guy, and the shopkeep guy's completely, utterly, unnecessarily badass assistant. Okay, so that dude is not playing. All right, that dude was like my favorite part of the episode because he's like, oh, don't worry, I'm highly trained so that I can protect the shop. And he's just gonna wreck face. Like, all these like vampire dudes or the vampire regiment dudes come in, you know, the mindless ones, and he's just like, nope, forces. Gonna wreck face. Yep, so, he was ready to wreck face.
I don't understand the lieutenant. I understand him less and less every episode. And because his whole deal was that he values his soldiers so much and he doesn't want to see the young ones, like especially the young ones, die. And so that's why he was making the special forces can be like, okay, this is a group of people that's going to be like our last line of defense against the vampires. But then, but at the same time, he was turning all those guys into vampires. But and working with like the head vampire to like distribute the fake vaccine. And he's deploying the special services or the special forces. So it's like, why are you making tons and tons of vampires if you then going to wipe them out? Like, who is benefiting from this? It doesn't make sense for him to be playing both sides.
No, I think it has to do with them having an experiment in the town. Like, they gave him the vaccine so that they could have the experiments in the town. Because even, like, the Special Forces guy were the results of, like, a ton of experimentation. And then they used soldiers and turned them into the Special Forces people and stuff like that. So they're just doing experiments. And obviously this is financially motivated or power motivated behind all of this. Because it's, like, political, right? Oh, I also appreciated that they played an instrumental version of Danny Boy, and then the vampire dude who was with the Ada Ada chicks like got up and started singing Danny Boy super off key. Because I'm watching the episode and I'm like, is that Danny Boy? And sure enough, it absolutely was.
I don't know why that was a thing. How old is Danny Boy?
It's really, that's like a super old Irish song. I mean, like it's pretty old.
I suppose. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So,
but no, I mean, like it's super duper old. But yeah, no. I just feel bad because all of these children are vampires, and even in like the Anne Rice vampire novels, it's like taboo to make a child a vampire because they're a child forever, and they can't like support themselves really well. You know what I mean? Because they look like a child forever. So I feel really, really bad for these children vampires, and they didn't even know they were vampires until they go visit like the collector guy and his badass assistant, and they're like, "Don't worry, just come with me."
Well, I was gonna say it worked okay for Shinobu from Bakemonogatari, but she can turn into adult, so I guess she's fine.
Yeah. I was gonna say she wasn't originally a child. She's Kiss Shot Underblade. Okay, she can turn into an adult. She's got a big old chest. I mean, I'm just saying she's definitely an adult. All right.
Yeah, I think one reason why I'm really confused as to why the reporter still has a role in this show. Like she's still completely useless. Like she doesn't add to the narrative, but they keep bringing us back to her, and it's like,
well, I don't understand why. Okay, so clearly you've got a lot of people realizing the vampire problem now. Why isn't like the reporter and other people trying to contact people outside of this one city? Like if this city is overrun with vampires, why don't you tell the world, like, hey, this could be real bad for everybody. Let's tell everybody.
Well, I guess the time period. I guess how would they? I mean, they don't have electronic devices. They literally have to get on the train outside.
Send a courier. I mean, come on, man. Like they have horses.
Yeah.
Like they have horses, so it's just real bad for this town right now. Pretty freaking bad. So
Yeah,
we'll
this
see.
image
We'll
was a
see.
pretty good image to show just how bad it is. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
no saving
it's
this
a bad
town at this
time.
point.
No. You know what time it
Oh
is?
boy,
My
it's
favorite time of
that
the week.
time.
It's odd
It's
taxi
odd
time.
taxi time.
Oh, it
Oh
is time for
boy.
odd taxi. The monkey dude
Oh
is having
boy.
a bad day. A real
Man,
bad day. He
where
is
do we
just
even
getting
start?
beat. Oh, start with the monkey guy. All right, so monkey guy took out all this money to impress the girl. They found out he's not rich, so now they're basically punishing him. The hedgehog guy who slings sick beats has basically told him, here, take my phone, or take your phone, call your mother. You may not make it out alive tonight. Tell her whatever you need to tell her. And he's going through like his friends list, being like, make your peace with God, because that's where we're at right now. Like, oh my
Yano made this
god,
man call his mom. And then he gets on
he
the
did.
phone with his mom and he's like, hey mom, I know the last time I spoke to you, I mentioned that I might be getting married soon, but I'm not getting
That didn't
married.
work
And he
out.
and he cries and he just has all these tears. And Yano's in the background just laughing at this man, just laughing at him while he's crying to his mom, almost on his deathbed.
Yep.
Like, I'm not getting
Yep.
married, mom. And then like the girl that he thought he was going to marry, she's just standing on the other side of the warehouse, just looking at him, just like, man, you're so pathetic. Like,
I know. He's like,
it was.
didn't you
Oh
feel
my
any of it?
God.
And she's like, no, you're disgusting. I don't even want to do this anymore because you were so disgusting to have to deal with. Like, she did not mince words even a little bit. She's
Oh
just going to
my.
crush this man's spirit while they crush his body. Like, it is a
It was.
bad day for him.
It was just
All
so
right.
bad.
So the gorilla guy has figured out that the taxi driver has sort of a facial recognition synesthesia, sort of, where this is, I think it's pretty clear what it's leading to is the taxi driver sees everyone as animals, and that's how he can identify people easier than normal people. Like, he shows him a real blurry photo of the monkey guy, and he's like, oh yeah, that's my friend, so that's my friend, right? And then nobody else can recognize that it's the monkey guy at all.
Yeah.
And so he winds up he talks to the bartender, because they're at the bar together, and the bartender's like, oh yeah, Otokawa can recognize all these people, all these regulars that I barely even know. I don't know them by face. And they later, the alpaca and the Shiragawa and the gorilla guy are talking about how Otokawa has this brain condition, and like they're like, we have to treat him, and it's somehow related, and him seeing people as animals is helping him identify everybody that he needs to identify. That's how he could identify the hippo guy when he was filming them, even though he had a mask on, because he saw him as a hippo.
The hippo guy thinks that somebody in his crew might have like ratted him out, because he's like, I was wearing this mask. How in the world did they know it was me? And for us as the viewers, like, it's so obvious. You're a blue hippo. So it's like there's definitely has to be something deeper than that. And there was even a point where they had the alpaca girl wearing a blindfold and like strapped to a chair, and they're like, who is this? And he's like, it's alpaca, and they're like, how did you tell? How can you know? And it's like, what do you mean? How can you not know? So he definitely can see people a lot easier than everybody else.
Yeah. But they're trying to help him. Like, the doctor is like dedicated to trying to help him get better now. So we still haven't seen the cat guy in a while. Like, the guy that's trying to kill him. Like, it's been 2 episodes since we've seen that guy. But he's still trying to kill him at some point, So I'm sure he will come back around, most definitely. Dobu is real dumb.
He is. Oh my god. So at this point we kind of knew Dobu and Yano were kind of like going at each other, and so we just kind of assumed that they had to be at least like almost like equal playing field. Yano is leagues ahead of Dobu. Dobu is a clown compared to Yano. And he the main character tricks Dobu into confessing all the crimes he's about to commit while he represses record. and
On
even takes a
record.
picture
Yep.
of him, right? And so and then he even convinces the Dobu to like say the name of the police officer that he's working with on camera, and Dobu's like,
Yep.
you're asking a lot of questions. It's almost like you're trying like to
And he's
get me
like,
to admit
no,
to something.
I just
And
don't
he
trust you if
continues
I
to
have to do
admit to
something
it.
illegal. And then he tells him, yeah, I was gonna say, then he tells him everything because Dobu's dumb.
Like,
and then Dobu's like, I'm gonna rob a bank, and it's all in a trick to get the guy with the lottery ticket to like extort the money from him. Dobu told a taxi driver, tell the fox guy or the dog guy that you want a what is it, $1 billion yen or something for it. And then the fox guy's like,
I think he said
what?
I think he said 900 million because
yeah,
oh
but
no,
he said,
yeah, so he said tell him you want $1 billion because someone else offered you 900
offered you a lot. Yeah, and the idea is that Dobu wants Yano to rob the guy with the lottery ticket to get the money for it. And the guy with the lottery ticket still hasn't cashed it. So he's like, I'm going to cash it and buy 30,000 albums from Mystery Kiss. You are a dumb dude. Like, real dumb. But whatever.
So when Yano hears this number, Yano pieces everything up so fast. Yano's like, someone offered you 900 million yen for the tape, and they just happen to like say they want a billion from us, and it just so happens that someone just won 1 billion yen in the lottery, and we've been watching this kid for the last couple of days. Okay, this is definitely Dobu, knowing that I've been watching the lottery winner and trying to extort me and trying to get me to rob the lottery guy and then extort me for the money. And he pieces it all together, and he's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're about to get Dobu right now. Yano is out here like being the mastermind, and Dobu is just a clown. Like they're not even on the same level. It's crazy.
Oh, in some side character news, the comedian guys made it to the semifinals of their competition.
Yeah.
So the one dude found out, oh, we're in the semifinals. So that good for them. Good for them.
I don't know how that plot is going to have a weigh in on what's about to happen, but I know it's going to be important. I know it's going to be important because everything in this show is
connected.
Important.
Everything in Odd Taxi is connected. That's why everything.
One other thing that so a friend of mine sent me a link to a Twitter account. The company that made Odd Taxi, they made up a fake Twitter account for the Hippo guy last year, and they were posting tweets for all the episodes last year because the show happens on Halloween. So when Halloween happened last year, they were posting all the information on Twitter before the show even started airing. And so now we're going back to his Twitter account and seeing all of the spoilers. They're not big spoilers, but we're seeing all his interactions. And so we have one more episode worth of content. Things about to go down next episode. Like if you go to the Twitter account,
oh my god,
it's about to go down.
Oh, so I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm so ready. I love Odd Taxi. It's the best thing this season.
Yeah.
All right. Slime Diaries. Slime Diaries was pretty cute this week.
Yeah.
This week is we've moved from summer into fall, and we're harvesting things, and it's a lot of harvest contests was a big piece of it. Like Shion and Milim are like harvesting sweet potatoes, and then they roast sweet potatoes, and it's cute. And there's like a misdirect at the end. The dryad lady's like, "Oh, I've taught you everything I need to teach you," and she disappears. And he's like, and then Rimuru shows up. And he's like, "Nah, she couldn't be here." Opens the door. She's in the bar. She was just being extra, super duper extra.
I mean, that's her thing. She that's her thing. This episode was nice because we get to see Shion and Milium compete against each other in order to try to find like the biggest sweet potato. And it's nice to see them compete against each other because under normal circumstances, they cannot compete in anything because Milium is a demon lord.
She's a demon lord. Yeah.
And one of the strongest demon lords at that. So even though Shion is pretty strong, Milium would crush her in a millisecond, right? And so it is nice that we finally get to see the two of them kind of like butt heads a little bit. Now that they get to compete at something and not actually like have their status as a demon play a role in it.
Hey, give me just a second. I'm having some technical difficulties.
All right.
Hey, Winston. Oh no, it came back.
You're back.
All of my screens just went off and came back.
Oh, okay.
That was weird.
But you
Okay.
didn't talk about the call.
Hang on just a second, Eric. I cannot hear you. I lost audio from him.
Let me make sure.
Eric, can you say some stuff so we can test the audio?
I'm saying some stuff. Can you hear me?
Probably. Yeah, I still can't hear him. Give us just a second, folks.
All right. No. So while Jess is doing that, I'm going to talk about how another part of the episode we had Rimima. So Rimima is kind of like one of the head goblins. Like she's not the head goblin in the town, but she kind of is like overseeing everything. She's kind of like the secretary, and she had this whole proper like feel to her, and like everything's like so had to be organized and proper. We get to see that she actually has a potty mouth, and so it was really fun in order to kind of see all the characters that we know from the main Slime series and see how like we get to see other sides of them that we wouldn't normally see in the main show. So I really like Slime Diaries. And then the next season of Slime is going to start in July. So I think we have a few more episodes of this before we get into that. So I'm stalling for time, Jess. Come back. All right. So let me see. What else can I talk about while Jess fixes her audio? What else happened in this episode? So we also get to see a little bit of interactions. So there's also a little kid goblin in the show that I really like. She's not an important character, but it's always nice to see how she interacts with the Orc Lord. The Orc Lord is kind of like the best dad. Like I really enjoy seeing how she's always kind of around, like trying to figure out what's going on. And like a few episodes, it showed that she even has like maybe a power to see ghosts. So it's really fun seeing a little kid kind of interact with other characters. And then we also got to see. Your audio back. So I was stalling in order to kind of like go over some of the other aspects of the show that weren't quite as important.
I got your audio back, so sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties, but yeah, this episode was super cute. I liked it.
Yeah, not a lot happened in terms of like it pretty much was just some picking the sweet potatoes. But I mean, I was saying like while you're out, it is really nice to see like the other sides of the characters. That we wouldn't normally see, like the secretary goblin. I love that she had like a potty mouth, and she was like, "Oh, you gotta get in line," and she was just like cursing out.
I was gonna say she wasn't taking no crap off of those little kids.
Yeah, so it's really nice. Nope. It makes me really excited for the next season of Slime.
Yeah. Zombieland Saga Revenge. This episode was very confusing for me, and until I read your notes, I didn't know what was going on.
Oh, okay. So is your slide? I don't think your slide is updated.
It's updated on my end, but hang on a sec. I'm gonna refresh the page and see if I can. Can you see on that end? I'm refreshed over here. Do you want me to refresh VMix?
No.
Okay.
So
sorry about that.
So for Zombieland,
we'll get there.
For Zombieland, this is the episode that you finally get to see Yuguri's backstory and how we don't know how she became a zombie just yet, but we get to see what she was like when she was living. And so it goes back where how she was kind of like she was known as the legendary courtesan, and so some rich politician paid for her to move to Saga because where she was originally located, she became so popular that her fee, she had to increase her fee in order to be rented. And so she became so popular that no one could afford her.
Anybody to afford, yeah.
So this politician paid for her to come to Saga and it seems to possibly marry him. But the moment she got to Saga, he died from illness. And so he left her with a bunch of his money, and so now she's kind of like living in Saga, kind of free and not really knowing what to do because the job she used to have she doesn't need anymore, and she's kind of away from all of it. And so we get to see what's his name? Kentaro. We get to see him back in her time period. Apparently he was around back then, and even then he was passing out flyers trying to get people to come back to Saga. So it's either him or his ancestor, but I believe it's him.
Yeah.
And so
and he's like he made a comment that his grandfather had the power to bring back the dead. That's what was confusing about this. I thought this was a side story that was fictional or something, you know, because all of the other characters were in it in the same look that they had as they have in the main show, just in a different timeline. Because it seemed like that because all the other girls have cameo appearances basically in it too.
Mm-hmm. And so it seems to be setting up that all like their ancestors from long ago lived in Saga, and they look exactly like them. That's not quite how genetics work, but they want to throw in cameos for all the current girls. And we even get to see Tay's apparent ancestor was apparently a big deal because she was in one of those carts that you carry like a princess in.
Yeah.
And so people were carrying her cart. And she looks out the window and like, huh? What's going on? And so apparently Tay's family might be a really, really big deal. And so we still have to find out information about her. But throughout the episode, we get to see... You continue.
This is a two-parter, too. So I believe it's like the title of this episode was the part one. So and it didn't end. I mean, like there was no conclusion to this section. So... we get to see more.
So we get to see that Kentaro it seems he's falling in love with Yugiri, and that he might start obsessing over her a little bit. And so he has kind of like a kind of older brother type mentor character. And so it seems that the guy named Ito might be plotting something because the episode ended with him giving a homeless person a piece of paper and the guy running off or something.
And then the homeless person running off. Yep.
Yeah. So it seems that something's big is about to be setting up, and part 2 is probably where we're going to figure out how Yugiri died and how Kentaro is bringing people back from the dead. So I was not expecting this much plot to come from her backstory. I thought it was going to be like a little side thing, but nope. Apparently she's a lot more important than I realized.
Yep, we get a whole lot of plot.
Yeah.
So our spin the wheel show this week was Bofuri. I don't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my defense. The main character is the girl in the middle. Her friend is like hinted at being like a pro gamer, and she's like, "Hey, I want you to play this MMO with me, and it's on one of the VR helmets like SAO, you know, where you're like completely immersed." And but her friend's like, "Nah, my mom wants me to study for midterms, and I can't get online." So she plays for like the first 2 or 3 days, and she's like, I don't want to get hurt. So I'm going to put all of my stats into vitality, like every single point I have. And then she starts getting multipliers. And then she starts getting equipment. And so like this guy on the left here sees her and he's like, "Oh, it's a shield user. How nice." But then weird things start happening. So like a bunny comes out and it just jumps at her, but it doesn't do any damage because her vitality is maxed out. So she starts getting all of these like abilities of like, you know, endurance and stamina and all this that keep maxing out her vitality. And she's like, "Nah, I got more points. Put it in vitality." Like, okay.
Yeah. Like, and then she even makes a note that like everybody in town is walking faster than her because she puts literally 0 skills in her agility. And so her, like, she can't even walk fast. Like it's not even that she's not fast in combat. She literally walks slow through town.
She does. But then the second day she comes back and she's like, "Oh, my clothes are kind of ew." So they go to like a armor. She meets the guy and they go to an armor person. The armor person's like, "You need like $1 million in gold for me to like build you, you know, vitality armor." And she's like, "Oh man, I got like $3,000. I guess I got to go hunt some stuff." And I actually kind of like this part. She's like, where should I go?" And the guy's like, "Oh, there's a dungeon with like a poison dragon over there, right?" And she'd already been attacked by like a bat or something that had poison. So she had like mid-level poison tolerance or something like that, just from the bat attacking her with poison and her not dying. And so she goes to this dungeon, and then the guy looks at the armored girl, and he's like, "You don't think she'd go by herself, do you?" No. People know better than to do that. She'd go with a part. Of course she goes by herself. Of course she
Now,
goes completely by herself. And she finds like some Hydra dragon. And the Hydra dragon like shoots all this poison at her and almost kills her, but like gets to the point of immunity to poison. But has killed like her knife and her shield. So she got like nothing, right? So what does she do? She eats it. It was a very Kumoko kind of move,
yeah.
all right? She's just like, I got teeth, I guess. Let me bite you. And she literally just bites it to death because it can't hurt her with the poison. And she gets like some ability of like Hydra Eater because she just ate it. And gets like some super rare armor at the end of it too. And it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
So episode 1 is how it starts, and this is how she becomes a completely broken character because she's committed to maxing out her defense, and then by eating the Hydra, she now has an insane attack ability, right? Because she absorbed all of Hydra's abilities, so now she can attack with devastating amounts of poison, and she already is impenetrable in terms of defense. So if you watch anymore, you get to see her just completely like destroy the game, and no one is able to even like compete against her anymore because she's just so broken, and the game developers have to like recode the game to stop her.
I was gonna say somebody needs a patch. Somebody needs a patch and to nerf her because this is a little OP. All right, a little OP.
Yeah. It's a running gag. Every episode, the game developers have to add a new patch for her. That way, she can play fairly with the other players.
It was pretty cute, although it's not my kind of show. I'm not really into isekais, so I don't know. I probably will not watch the rest of it because I just don't care about isekais. So
I like it. I think
it's like a game,
watching.
So it's not really an isekai because it's like a game, but still, it feels like an isekai. It's basically an isekai. So
I enjoyed it, and season 2 is about to start happening. I think later this year, but it's not super. It's not a must watch. I did like it though.
Are you ready to spin the wheel?
All right, give me something
Let's
good.
Do it.
Give me something good. Not a Jess show. Not a Jess show.
This is not a Jess show. This came from. Let's make a mug too. This came from probably the forum because I don't remember the name of it.
I saw that. I saw this title on I think Crunchyroll. Is that something currently airing?
I don't think so. Vivi is the only one I think that's on here that's currently airing.
Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Apparently there's a live. Wait, hold on. Is this show live action? Why is it?
I don't know.
I searched for it on Crunchyroll and I see a bunch of live action clips. Is it a live action version? This is interesting.
I have no idea. We'll figure it out though.
Yeah.
This will be our show.
Okay. Yeah, it's currently airing this season because it's only 9 episodes out.
Okay. Yeah, I had not heard of it. It was on the forum, I believe. It was one of the forum ones. So yeah, we'll watch an episode or 2 of this, and next week we will be joining you at 7 p.m. Eastern right here on YouTube. Every week you can join us at 7 p.m. Eastern. We don't take too many weeks off. Don't forget to join us this weekend on the Momocon AMV's YouTube for our AMV contest. It'll be at 2 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Erik will be there with bells on, providing the content for you. A lot of our a ton of AMV creators submitted to the contest, and we got some awesome winners and it's some awesome videos. We can't wait to see you there. And as I mentioned at the top,
Momocon AMVs, the Momocon AMVs YouTube account, not on this one.
Yep. And you can find it on our social media too. We've been there's been some posts about it, and we'll have some more coming this week as well. And don't forget, just for this weekend through midnight on Sunday, you can get a $5 discount on your Winterfest or your Momocon 2022 membership for the weekend. Just use the code Momo Memories, all caps. You can find that on our social media as well. The code's only good through about Sunday at midnight, so be sure to get it. It's a good way to get a discount because we miss you, and we would have loved to have seen you this weekend, but, you know, pandemics and stuff. You know, MBD. Yeah. But don't worry, we'll see you in the future. Same bat, and well, not the same bat time, but the same bat channel at the Georgia World Congress Center in December and May of next year. Well, that is it for us tonight. We'll see you next week. We'll see you on Saturday. We'll see you in December and May. Bye.
See ya.